report out. We've got a few things on today. So first of all, we've got critical care to neurosciences step down value stream, RPIW 4, rehabilitation prescription update. We've got the post 90-day report out. And Sarah, are you going to come and lead us through with your team? Do you want to come up and introduce yourselves? That would be fantastic. Thank you.
So hello, my name is Kirsten. I'm the matron for neurosurgery and I was the process owner for RPIW number 4.
Hello, my name's Sarah Miller. I'm head of nursing for neurosciences and I was the outside eyes in this process of RPIW 4.
Good afternoon, my name's Lindsay McLean and I'm an occupational therapist and a team member.
Was there one before that now? So RPIW4 was looking at improving the flow of patients from crit care to neurosurgery wards. And now RPIW4, we looked at specifically the rehabilitation form that we use for our patients that need to go on for ongoing rehabilitation in external hospitals. So that was our project. So after 90 days, this is how the process looked. So the decision that the patient was therapy fit for rehab was made at the 10 a.m. board round. That board round was then left and the nurse in charge would go and inform the patient and the family of the next step. A WhatsApp message was sent round to all the staff that needed to be at the 12:15 meeting to do the correct information on the form. And then everybody met at 12:15, the form was completed and then it was sent in that meeting. So that was our 90 days. But we had some issues with that. Oh no, sorry. So at the end of 90 days, our lead time for the whole process was about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So if you can see at the beginning, it was 52 hours. So we greatly improved the process. Next one, Sarah, please. And then our lead time for the setup reduction time for filling out the form went from 52 hours down to 9 minutes 47 seconds. So at 90 days we thought we'd really nailed this and we'd done it, but we had some issues.
So as I said earlier, I was the outside eyes in this process, and when we reported out 30 days ago we did quite a lot of reflection on the fact that actually I had issues and concerns around sustainability of the process. Yes, we had a great target progress report, but actually on the shop floor it just didn't feel like it was going to be sustained. And there was 2 key issues for that, key reasons should I say for that, and that was around changes in our MDT colleagues and the fact that we had standard work, but we hadn't got that culture of handover of standard work. So that was something that we obviously needed to look at and address. The other element was that initially the process took 5 operators. So it was 5 operators filling out the form at different times across that 52-hour window. So in the RPIW week we decided to reduce it to actually 3 operators, but within that we removed the medic, which actually in hindsight wasn't the best decision because we needed to make sure that the quality of the information was correct for our patients. The medic was absolutely key because we gained so much more respect for the form and for the process through the RPIW week that this is a patient rehabilitation prescription and actually it informs the ongoing care for our patients and the information needs to be correct. The defect rate has still gone down, but actually we still could improve the quality of the information because we're referring to other centres. It's not just Chapel Allerton, it's other centres. So we had a crisis meeting, didn't we, and rewrote the standard work. And the purpose of today was to come back to say how we've progressed following that. So how we changed the standard process, it was minimal, to be perfectly honest with you. The decision that the patient is therapy fit for discharge for ongoing rehabilitation to another centre is still made at the 10 a.m. board round, and the patient and family are then informed within a 2-hour window before they've then held the meeting to actually complete the form. So we've got still 3 professionals. We've got OT, physio and nurse completing the form in flow as a collective at the 12:15 meeting. But then prior to that, the medic, Matt Smith, may well have pre-populated the form or may well then do a sense check just to make sure that the quality of the information that we're sending is correct. So I think that obviously a bit of a drum roll, it's important to think how has this change in process, because one could argue it felt like a backward step because we had to sit down, review, refresh what we were doing. But actually the timings haven't actually changed that dramatically. So we set ourselves a setup reduction time to complete the form of 9 minutes, and actually the timings in the last 30 days have ranged between 4 minutes 26 and 8 minutes 51. So, sorry, and 13 minutes 58. So between 4 minutes and 13 minutes thereabouts. So actually, and then the lead time, even with the medic adding that separate element and that sense check, we're still looking at approximately 2.5 hours. So previously 52 hours, now we're still looking at about 2.5 hours. So we have maintained the time, the lead time that we wanted to achieve, but actually the quality of the form is correct for patients. Okay.
So I guess from our point of view, the process is definitely embedded within the MDT. All team members, including the people completing the form, the nursing staff, everybody is fully involved with the process. We took some time out to educate new team members on actually what did the form mean and the importance to the patient, but also actually the understanding of what therapy fit meant, and just to make sure that the referral was actually put together at the right time. It continues, as Sarah's mentioned, to be completed with the original timescale set, and the time between the 4 and the 13 minutes is reflective of the complexity of the patient. So actually the more complex patient, it takes a little bit longer because we need to have that discussion and make sure we're getting the right information on the form. And actually it's, rerunning through this again, it's really supported and improved communication between the HPs and making sure actually the prepared handover is ready and the wardboard, the information's being put at the right time. I guess most importantly, it's improved and highlighted the improvement of the patient experience. And it's recognising that this is a complex patient group with complex rehab needs, and it's making sure we get it right the first time in the right way. It's been really important to actually address that, getting the correct rehab pathway, accurately describing what the rehab needs are and the patient's goals and potential, and also supporting the patient but also the family to understand the rehab process, and this rehab referrals is part of that process. And I guess, it's also highlighted the potential of future developments within the team and the patient pathway, things that we can be doing to improve the process globally further. And so that's our next steps really that we hope to do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Well done. Thanks, Sarah, Kirsten, Lindsay. That was great to hear, and I'm sure there'll be some questions about some of that work, but really good to see the measurement. I was struck by the measurement of what you've achieved, but also the honest reflection, Sarah, that you started with, that I think are really important about the learning we take from that for future kind of work and RW. So good stuff. Great. Okay. So sorry, I promised I'd stand over here, didn't I? So, I noticed, welcome colleagues that have joined us for today's report out. I did actually see some of you at Expo yesterday. Leeds Teaching Hospitals had a good showing at the NHS Expo, which is an annual event sharing good practice, and we were doing quite a lot, and we had a lot of our colleagues showing the good work that we've been doing, which is really encouraging. So now we're up to Lean for Leaders certification, and we have 3. and I'm going to start with Anna. Anna is a specialty doctor in elderly medicine and patient safety, but of course does a huge amount of improvement work here in the Trust. So Anna, well done. Come and get your certificate. Congratulations. I think they're over here. So, here we are. There we go. Great. Congratulations. Well done. And next up, Kirsten. Really good, well done. Kirsten, of course, is matron for neurosurgery, spines and chronic pain. You just heard from Kirsten. Really well done. I'd like to award you with your certificate. Great, excellent.
Hello, my name is Yvette, and it is my great privilege and pleasure to present a somewhat unknown person in the class. But known to present Julian, our Chief Executive, with his Lean for Leaders certificate. And congratulations, Julian, well done. I know how much hard work it is, and I am somewhat saddened or disappointed that it's been. But I am going to finish mine and I'll be here soon.
Thanks very much.
No, well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I also say, Julian, I didn't know how appropriate it was for you to have your signature on the bottom of your and so just before we came over here, I took it off and put mine on.
Thank you. Much rather have yours on.
Can I just add, Julian? Sorry, we've got some colleagues from Lean for Leaders Module 1 here today. We're actually teaching Module 1 today.
Oh, terrific.
And we wondered if you could have a little picture with
Yes.
Module 1. Do you have any advice for them?
Well, why don't we? No, that's a really good suggestion. Why don't we? It would be really good to have colleagues from Module 1 and also the other colleagues today that have received their certification, Anna and Kirsten as well. Let's get together and have a quick photo. And we'll pick up your question in the Q&A because I'm sure that Anna and Kirsten will have some comments to do on that today as well. Yeah.
Kirsten, where's your certificate?
Should we nicely?
Great. Thank you. Okay. We've gotten. It's good actually because we've got a bit of time now for some reflections and questions. So you've heard already from the post 90-day report out in relation to critical care to neurosciences step down. And we've got an opportunity, particularly with colleagues from the first cohort of Lean for Leaders, for a bit of reflection on the Lean for Leaders programme, and we've got KPO colleagues well represented here as well, and of course exec colleagues, so it's a good opportunity for a little bit of discussion. And so who'd like to start with? Go on, Helen.
It was a comment to my neurosciences colleagues. It was so lovely to hear the language of the Leeds improvement method just woven into your presentation. We heard defects, we heard operators, making it about the process rather than the people. So absolutely well done, and you did it so naturally, so thank you.
Great. Yeah.
So again, fantastic work on the prescription. I just wanted to ask you about, it feels like there's only one doctor's name who appears on that rehab prescription, and therefore if he has a fortnight's holiday or something like that, have you got a plan for somebody else to step in?
So it reverts back to the initial 90 days where the doctor on the ward or the nurse all together do it. So Matt found that when the nurse and the medical on the ward did it, it wasn't really as in-depth as he wanted it. So we do that when he's not here, and then he does it when he's here most of the time. Or he pre-populates those that he thinks might be ready in those week, in the week that he's going to be off.
And can I ask you, in the RPIW when you did the rehab prescription, I can't remember, I was at the report out because it was a very famous report out, wasn't it? Didn't we do it in the, wasn't Matt Hancock though? Oh yeah.
Oh, was it?
So, but was there a doctor in the RPIW when you designed that process?
Yes,
Right.
there was. It's now one of our neurosurgical registrars.
Oh, is it James?
No.
Neeraj,
Yeah.
but maybe not the correct doctor,
Right.
if that makes sense.
And that was also involved in he was on a conference, so but
Right.
he came in the middle of the week on the Wednesday. So there absolutely was consultation, but hindsight is still always
And it's probably it's recurrent PDSA, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Actually. Yeah.
But it's still not ideal that we've just got Dr. Smith. But that's the workforce that we're working with at the moment, and it's just making sure we educate our junior doctors to the same level.
Just in terms of I think, has our AHP colleague gone?
She has, unfortunately.
It was just in terms of ensuring that when we have change in personnel that people are familiar with what the process is, because going from 53 hours to what you've gone to is really quite remarkable, but that requires everybody to know what their role is in that process. Just wondered what learning you'd taken that you could perhaps share.
It's like any new professional training environment. It's that induction process, and actually it often falls to the nurses and the nurse in charge to make sure that our colleagues know how we function, how we work, medical and AHP colleagues. We've got to have a two-pronged approach really. The fact that we've had 7 therapists at the Leeds, they don't rotate, so they're consistent. So they're ensuring that their colleagues that are rotating know what standard work is in that area, but then we're also sharing that from a nursing perspective as well, so we're that consistent.
Right. Good. So there was I think Sophie, you asked us the question, moving to Lean for Leaders, any advice for our new colleagues? The cohort 1 started on the cohort 1, which is great. Well done for getting into it and starting it. So I was going to ask Kirsten, Anna, before I have a little think about that. What would you say? What advice, kind of looking back to
There are
when
other
you started?
graduates in the room as well, do we?
There are, yeah.
So advice I would say to people is well, it depends how you work, but I personally like to work as a team. So I buddied up with a few people in my cohort 12 is the team. And so Steve Bush, Rachel Irwin, who's a dermatologist, Ali Bracknell, Simon Radical, who's there. We made a little WhatsApp group, and we had a little, basically spurred each other on, and we kind of made each other do it. One person was lagging behind the other. So, and I think our cohort 12 was actually really quite a close team, I would say. So yeah,
And that's a really good point, I think, about the relationships you build with people you don't work with. You may not even know ahead of doing Lead for Leaders. There
Yeah,
is
so
an
Rachel and I are quite good friends.
Yeah.
Tom's friends.
Yeah. Right, thanks Anna. Kirsty?
I think my advice would be, it's changed slightly since I was in Module 7, and we had deadlines all the way through, right till the very end, and then at the very end you just have to finish it. And that's taken me many, many months. So I think my advice would be to set yourself clear deadlines so that you do meet them, because otherwise it can just drag on and there's no need really. So that's my little advice.
Right. Other colleagues, and you're quite right, Helen, we've got other colleagues with us today who've done Lead for Leaders, and obviously the expertise that resides in the KPO, but any other reflections from those of you who've done it or doing it to colleagues that have just started?
I think another element in terms of making sure that you're able to progress if you get a bit stuck is utilising the coaching resource that's available as part of the KPO. They're very non-judgmental. If you get stuck, you can go and talk to them. They'll be able to unpick anything that you're particularly confused about, which is really helpful. And they can sometimes get you back on the right track. But I would reiterate what Kirsten said as well about just get your homework done. And I know that sounds really easy to do, but actually, the longer you leave it, the harder it is to go back to sometimes. And it is just getting it done.
So I was going to reiterate Anna's point around the buddying up. So there's definitely something about mixing with other people who've got different perspectives and what you learn from that, and also the continued buddying up as this moves forward. So how can some of us who have done it a little more while ago, and I'm a team leader in RPIW next week, so I'm next Friday, because I'm looking for support from the room around that. But how can we all help each other? So I've got a couple of founders colleagues here, so very happy to help as well as anybody. So how can we bring that perspective and join up? Because actually this stuff's quite hard, and it's a real different way of thinking, and we need to do this together. So I'm up for having a conversation with anybody that catches me around the corridors at any time.
That's great, thanks. I'd agree with all that. But I would maybe add that having support of the team you work with, so in my case, Jane, who's here, my PA, and James Goodyear, who was, they've been superb support to me doing it as well, and have helped me a lot. The KPO, the point that was just made about the coaching, I've had great coaching from, well, a whole number of the KPO team, but particularly Chris and Helen, and also Helen, who've had, actually, and I think the key message there, which has really helped me, is this: don't let the best be the enemy of the good. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it done. Use it. This is stuff that we're planning to be. This is our management method. So I'm going to be doing plenty of it. So just have a go. Don't worry too much about thinking, is this absolutely spot on. So that has been really helpful. And also, I'd agree with I really enjoyed the sessions when we came together down at the bridge, mostly in our cohort. And although I have dotted around a few cohorts, it's been great to see the colleagues that are doing it, and to be able to just, in a very different setting, a learning environment, to share, because we're all at the same stage, and go through it. And I'm sure those of you starting will build those relationships and that shared experience as you go through. But use your team, take it back to the Gemba, because people, are happy to help and interested as well. So thank you, Jane and James, and indeed KPO team. You've been great. So that's good. So from I guess, because the other thing I've said is that the discussion we had at senior leaders was about how do we make sure that we get plenty of us through Lead for Leaders, that we don't frighten people put by it, and that we make it doable within the context. And I think we've done a lot of work to facilitate that, but always happy to receive feedback, Helen, aren't we, about that, and make sure that the point you make, Claire, about just, and others, Kirsten, just getting on and doing it and not letting yourself fall too far behind. You know, I made that mistake, and I think, as I said, at senior leaders, I had to give myself a good talking to sort of get back on track. But it's just, yeah, it is doable. Okay, so anything else anyone wants to reflect on?
I just wondered, Julian, if anybody, you know, if Anna or Kirsten want to, or you, say how it has changed the way that you work. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about getting through the programme, it's about really how you then change. And we heard a lot in Virginia Mason about how the teams that had adopted the method felt more on top of their work, more in control, and actually sometimes finished work on time.
Yeah, that's such a good point there. So, yes, any thoughts on that?
Well, no, I love a production board now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You used to see my office, I've got many. I do like a production board.
Brilliant.
And that gives the information that you need at hand straight away, so it's much easier than delving and fighting to find it. So I really love a production board.
Fantastic.
I was just going to say, I think some of the stuff that we're hearing in the language that we're talking about, people going through this is really hard. And I think we could be careful in tempering that. Thinking about it is really hard, making yourself sit down and do it is really hard.
Yeah.
Actually, when you've got coaching and you start sitting down and doing it, it's actually enjoyable. I'm looking at it here because I know we share some of the same love of geekery in the production world. You will really enjoy this. It will help the way you work. And you might have some fun when you're doing things.
Great point. Great point.
Listen, I would say I agree. I don't think it's hard. I wouldn't say just I found it hard at all. And so don't worry. And then other things I would say is in terms of, I mean, I think it's worth nothing as a certificate unless you actually do something with it. So for me, as a doctor, I think my responsibility is how can I bring the tools of being leaders with it, you know, make things between collaboratives and the being leaders stuff sort of have a bit more cohesive. And when I'm teaching junior doctors about quality improvement, which I spend a lot of my time doing, how can I help? That's what I gained from it, essentially. It's some extra tools and skills that enable me to facilitate better improvement for the people I come into contact with, which is largely doctors.
Yeah, great. My answer to that question, I think, would be it's changed the way we work in the office in terms of the huddles that James and I have, and the production board in my office, which is really about how we track what the exec team are up to, where everyone is, what's happening, who's around, and it's a sort of, it is that sense of being able to have greater oversight, control, knowing that we're how each week's panning out. The way that we work as an exec team, and this is a combination not just of me doing Lead for Leaders, but also Yvette and indeed all of us having this focus is, I think, absolutely, Claire and others, is thinking we need to be on the Gemba more. So how do we think about how we work in relation to going to CSU Gembas and looking at CSU production boards in terms of not just sitting around the table on a Monday afternoon amongst ourselves, but actually going out. So that's helped, and also doing the report outs the stand-ups on a Monday at 10 and report out, so getting into that rhythm. But the other thing is just my understanding of processes, and just this morning when we were meeting to talk about discharge and decision making and the challenge of getting patients out of hospital into community settings when appropriate, in the right way, without delays, with other partners, I found myself talking about, you know, small tests of change, of doing that, and I thought, well, I wouldn't have said that or thought about that had I not done this programme. So it does definitely change the way you address a problem. Before, you'd just be kind of taking out saying, why, you know, why aren't people doing what we tell them? You know, and that's, as we know, that is not how it works. So that's added a deeper layer of understanding for me, and also critically the tools to be able to execute on that. So, good.
Can I just say, I was reflecting on the word hard and difficult, and I think I use those words quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thank you for picking that up, because it made me reflect on. I think it's the mindset change, and it's really quite a different way of thinking and behaving to what I'm familiar with. So it's the cultural stuff which feels a little bit hard, and the way that we then have conversations with people in a respectful way, and how we pick our language.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that I'm finding that I'm picking myself up for. So thank you for kind of bringing that out. It's going to be part of the RPRW next week. So it's not that the tools are hard, because it's not hard actually, and the course isn't hard. It's the application moving forward, and how the more of us that are doing it, talking the same language, the more comfortable it all becomes for us all, I think.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Catherine, about the respect for people. And again, just drawing on the recent example of Clay, you were there as well, weren't you, in the minute? It just is our ability to have difficult conversations with our partners, but in a very respectful way, which hasn't always, let's face it, been the case. It is really important, and it helps us get through to the heart of the challenge rather than just getting cross with each other. So, yeah. Good. Right.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, that's it. Next report's out. Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. I knew you